creating a simple budget, right? So let me not say simple. There's a simple part and there's a complex part, right? So I just want to leverage all the knowledge we've used over the past days to create this, right? And I also talk about a bit of Power Query as well, right? So when creating a budget, right, what do you want to see, right? The first thing is to have our income and expenses, right? Have the categories. So I have like a broad level here. So I have the subcategories, which is salary, dividend, blah 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 blah, and the categories, right? For the income, right? Either fixed or variable income. But for the expenses, we have utilities, utilities, discretionary transports. So again, I'll just give it some form of categorization, for example, right? Then our category type, right? Either income or expense. What we can use here is that we can use conditional formatting, right? I'm sorry, data validation, right? As I mentioned earlier, right? So will be either income or expense, and the data validation is data, right? So this is just testing what we have done previous times, right? Data validation. We want to do a list, right? So we can say we want it to be income, right? Income. I'll just type it out here, right? Or expense, right? Right. And that's it, right? And copy this across board, right? So we have the validation across, right? And we now update this. So everything from here are expenses, right? So I can copy this, paste it across, right? Next thing I will do is that I will also make this a data table, right? Simple. It makes it easier. So next time I want to update something, we'd have to come to the beginning again and come and update it, right? We can just update it from here. So I just come here. Control T is the shortcut for data table, right? So click on press Control T. There's here headers, and it formatted it in this manner, right? So this is my category, right? First thing to do. Next thing to do is to create a budget, right? Um, we have the year, we have the different months, right? So let's say I was going to put it for 2050, we want to make for 2025. So I put it 2025 budget. Then I'm about to do my budget based on my subcategories that I have here, right? So what I did was just do the unique. So this equals to unique, right? And then pick the array here, right? And give me all the different unique arrays, right? So that's one way to do it, right? Another way to do it is just and the way I think I would do it is use the data validation as well, right? So I come here, go to my data tab, right? So just trying to leverage everything we used before. In data tab, data validation, I want a list, right? And I'm doing like this, and so every time this updates, or my list also updates, right? So I have this as my list, and I press enter, right? So so this is salaries, like so the way depending on your 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 budgeting, I've already done, I've already put certain values here already, so it's fine. So I'll just so I say this is my budget, this is my dividend, this is my interest, and so you budget it accordingly, right? So I mean, I would just um, copy this since it's in the same way. If I paste it as values, it's also aligned with the um, formatting. And the second thing I did was that I made sure that my income budget is positive while my expense budget is negative, right? So this is my income budget, this is my expense budget. So that's pretty much my budget for every single month of 2025. Right. So I assume a salary of 4,000 per month, uh, dividend of 1.5. I just did fictitious figures just for us to use this, right? So that's that, right? The next thing is to input your transactions, right? So so let me change this to salary, right? So let me see AB, let me tell something, right? So we have so pretty much when you get your bank statement, right? when you get a bank statement, right, you just copy the the transaction details from a bank statement. So it'll tell you everything you, you spent on, right? So let's say you get your bank statement, you put the bank, right? So you have, let's say you have AIB, you have a credit union account, and you have a railroad account, right? The date the transaction happened, the description, what an inflow outflow, then subcategory, right? For subcategory, you can also make this a data validation as well, right? So what I will do here for now is to make this a data validation. I go to my data validation, my subcategory. How to make this a list? So from here, my category, and make this a list of my subcategory. So once I have any transaction, right, I can do it maybe at the end of the month, right? So I just use that to track my expenses, right? So I I did this, right? So this is an interest, right? So interest is interest. Um, so literally, I'll just put all my transactions for the month, right? So in order to save time, right, I already have a list of transactions that I'm going to use, right? So you permit me, I will just copy and paste them in in there, right? So copy and paste the list of transactions I have already, right? And make sure the dates is formatted properly, right? So I go to my home, make sure to format everything as short dates, right? So yeah, so I have this, right? Next is to make sure this. Sorry, I'm going to copy it again, right? So pardon me. Um, I'm just literally I'm just putting the data right, and because I don't want to do it manually one by one. Typically, or normally we do it one by one, right? What you are inputting, right? Different banks, right, and the kind of description, right? In fact, you can even add another column, right, for notes, right? Comment, right? So in case you want to comment on certain things that the subcategory might not really justify, or it might not actually tell you what exactly it is, right? So you just put a subcategory to just explain to yourself more. And this is more for yourself, right? To explain to yourself more, right? So now we have four categories. We have our budget, and we have our monthly transactions, right? Now, the last thing is now to create a dynamic report that will make it look nice, right? That'll make it look nice, right? But in order to create a report, we need an analysis sheet, right? So, for example, I would like to see at least three or four things in my report, right? So let's say I'd like to see the expense per category compared to budgets. I mean budget versus actual. I'd like to see the expense per the inflow, how he has moved from month to month, like the expense how he moved from month to month. Just high level, right? Just something very basic, right? So if if I want to do something basic, right? For my report, right? I can just come here, right, and create like a graph, for example, right, or come to my analysis sheet, right, um, go to bring the subcategory. So I'll just show you one way to do it, right, and I'll show you the way I personally would do it, right. Subcategory equals to unique equals to unique. So I get all the list of subcategories which are here, right. And next, I just see what is the value to date, right? What is date, right? That this one way to do it, right? You cannot do sum if, right? So the range is my transaction, right? Sum if my transaction, um, put it here, criteria, which is what will be here, right? And I'm looking to see, and my sum range will be everything here, right? So now that's the issue now. Is my sum range outflow or inflow, or is my sum range outflow minus inflow? Because some are positive, some are negative, right? So there's just so many complications, right? So what I can do here is that I can just do another column here and do net amount, right? So the net amount will be inflow minus outflow, right? Inflow minus outflow. So inflow will be positive, outflow will be negative, right? So I have my net amount, right? So this is a pre-calculated field, right? And I can also make this a data table as well. So press Ctrl T, make this a data table, right? My budget as well, make it a data table, Ctrl T, right? So that I can easily update it. Subsequently, right? So but what me I would do is to actually try and look for a medium to add these three tables together. So I have my budget table, my transactions table, and my report table. I'm sorry, and my categories table, right? How do you merge them together? Right? And that's where Power Pivot comes in, right? So I'm just going to just say it in person, in passing, right? And this is just like an appetizer for when we have our proper Power Pivot class. So what I'll do is that I select the table, go to data, right? So from data or I mean from table or range, right? So if I click on this, a Power Query editor opens, right? And now okay, so I actually clicked on it twice. So let me delete this first. And start all over again. So so we know, right? So let me just delete it, delete this. I press it twice. So I come here, I I got my table, right? I select my table, go to my data, go to from table or range. So I want to work with this on Power Query, right? So it brings it out, right? So I have my years here, I have the various months, right? So what I really want actually is to transpose the data. So I have my year in one area, my subcategory in one area, and my months in one area and the value in one area, right? So what I will select these two columns, right click and click on pivot other columns, right? So what it does that now I have my year in one column, I have my categories, this is my month. I can come here and change this to months, right? Um, and change this budget value. So I don't change the budget here, budget, right? So I have my year, my month, and this right. Next thing I do that maybe I would like to create like um a date that has my month and my year together, right? So I'd like to add these two columns together, right? My month and my year, right? I'd like to add these two columns together, right? So uh, what what I'll do to add them together is I held these columns together. I right click on it, right? And I put on merge columns. So I'm merging them together, right? And separate them. So what am I going to do is separate it, right? I'm going to use a custom and I'm going to use this, right? This dash to separate them, right? And I've called it a date column. So the new column we call date column. So okay, right? So now I have a new column called a date column, right? So this is the date column, right? So we have my new column, that's a date column, and formatted as date. So I have my dates, I have my subcategory, I have my budget, right? So all I do is to go to my home tab and close it, right? But I'll close and load two, right? And I'll say create connections alone, right? So I close and load to create connections alone. That's fine. So I've done that for budget, right? So now let's do for transactions, right? Um, same thing that will come here, right? Um, and now I have my this, right? So first thing that the date is not formatted properly, I come here and format it as dates alone, right? So yes, replace correct. So if you format that date, another thing to know is that you can see apply steps here. So what Power Pivot is doing is that for every step I'm doing, it's looking at it. So next time you don't have to do it again, right? So once I have the new data, it perform these steps for you automatically, right? Now, next thing I want to do is that I have my net value here already, which is fine, right? So, and I also don't need inflow and outflow, so I can delete this, right? But I want you to know is that anything you do, right, it's not changing the source data, right? So source data will still remain the source data, right? I'm just only using the data that's available to me, right? And I also might maybe necessary to know want the notes in my analysis, right? So I can also delete the notes, right? So what I have now is this net amount. This net amount I can change it to my actuals, right? It's called actuals, right? So yes, so I have my actuals um, column here as well, right? One more thing I will do is going to close it and load it as well, right? So come here, we close and load two. Now we can change this from table two. This is our transactions column, right? So this transactions, right? So you call it trans, right? So just to have it proper name, right? So that this is our like our actual, right? And come and close and load two. Just like the last one we did, we only create the connection, right? And the final one we do is the categories table, right? So come here, same way. This table is already clean, it's nice. We don't have any other thing to do. So just name it appropriately, category, right? And just close and load two, right? So everything looking okay here. So close and load two and create only connections, right? The before we get to analysis with the report building, I'd like to make this a bit more dynamic, right? So that I can select, I mean, include some slicers, right? So what I'll do is I create maybe some more headers here. I mean, some more space, I mean, headroom, right? So I go to click on the data itself, click on the data table itself, go above and click on slicer, right? So now I can add a new slicer. So basically, add the slicer on subcategory, right? So now I have my subcategory slicer. You can come here, change it to anything you want, right? Um, I want my slicer to have maybe three columns or so, so I can drag it across board here, right? So something like this, right? Make it downwards, maybe just two. And so next time you click on clothes, you can see clothes, click on this, you can see that, right? And you want to click see everything, you can just click on everything, right? So it just a more interactive way to view the data. So I'll just make this full, yeah. And because we may have other years, right? So what I can do as well is add another slicer for years. But at the moment, it will not make sense because we have just 1 year, right? So I can just leave it as it. Same thing come to transactions as well, right? So we can have ways to filter our transactions. So come above here and click on it, go to data design, then click on slicer. Let's say one slicer for my accounts, one slicer for what else again? And let's say subcategories, for example. Right. So those two, right? So my account, bring it here. I mean, I can put all that together, slicer, change the formatting to align what I have, drag this up a bit, right? So I have these three. Um, go to my slicer. I can just walk around with the width, right? Um, the width of the slicer itself, right? So I have these three, my categories as well. It's here. I can make the could be four, right? Bring it up here, bring it up. I mean, honestly, there's no one way to um do it, right. It's all up to you, right? So you can now filter, oh, I want to see just things that came from AIB or credit union or Revolut, right? Or say for all of them, right? Or just for the clothes or for this, like you can just easily filter through, right? So that's for that, right? I can also do it here as well, like, to be honest. But I mean, I just wanted to just show that, right? So now let's go um back, right? So we've created three connections, right? So how do we proceed from there? So you can see that I have this query sitting open here, right? I mean, another way to get it is to go to your data tab, right? I go to my data tab, right? And I can see connections. My queries and connections. Sorry, I will see all the connections I have, right? So let me just open this is the budget. I did not name it properly, right? So this is budget. So let me just open the budget. I can open anyone, to be honest, right? It doesn't matter, right? Now I want to add merge these two together, the budget and the actual, right? So I hold on to both of them, or I hold on to one of them, to be honest, right? And I click on amend queries and amend as new. So I'm going to append as new. I'm going to merge something together as new, right? So I'm appending it. So I'm appending first table. Maybe the budget can be the first table, which is this, or the transactions minus anyone doesn't matter. And the budgets, which is table three, is my second table, right? I click on OK, right? And you see it merge them together, right? I can come here and just change this to budget, so the name to budget. So we have it properly named, right? So this is the new table, right? Called, and let's just call this data, for example, right? So we have a new table that merges the budget and actual together, right? So you can see our actual, our budgets all together, right? And now there are certain values where we have zero. I mean, where budget is nil, right? So what we'll do is that we can come here, almost like a find and replace, right? That anytime it sees nil, just give me zero, right? Because remember, when I'm talking about errors, right? One of the errors you can have, right, is when you're trying to do a calculation on a nil or a null value. So what would I would tell Alexa, every time you see null, just give me zero. So do that by going to transform, replace value, right? Click on replace value. So replace null, and we have to, I mean, null has to be case sensitive with zero. So every time I see null, just give me zero, right? I click on OK, right? And that step is recorded, right? The next thing I personally would like to do is that I would like to now also merge or separate, not really separate, right? But we have our dates, but I'd like to see the month separately and the year separately. I mean, if I'm using pivot table, it actually does not matter because the pivot table will actually separate the month and the year, right? So I think we just leave it like that. The next thing I would like to do is to now also add this table, the category table, right? So we added the transaction and this, but I would like to add the category table with the data table. What is merging? So you know in our categories, right, we have I mean subcategory. In our category table, we have subcategories and is linked with the category and category type, right? While in data, right, we have just subcategories, right? So it's almost like when you do a VLOOKUP, say, so if you see salaries here, right? Salaries also is fixed and it's income. If you see dividend is variable. So almost like want to do like a VLOOKUP, right? We have VLOOKUP, I mean, we want to VLOOKUP, look up this, right, and return what the category will be and what the category type will be. That's basically what I want to do. So um we go to our data, right? Our data sorry tab. I go to the home tab, right? So I click on data, go to home tab, click on merge queries, right? So I'm merging as new. I'm merging it inside this data table. So go to merge queries, right? So it's almost like if you look up, I said, so we're looking at this, right? So we're looking at this subcategory in category, right? So basically, I highlighted this, right? So basically, I'm saying, look at this and give me this pretty much, right? Join kind, left outer, all from the first, matching from second. So basically, it's matching this with everything for me. It's almost like, pretty much VLOOKUP, right? So I click on OK, right? So you can set, I have my table here, right? So yeah, it has merged it, but it brought in my table. So if I click on this, right, this drop down, right, I can, I can tell this what I want to add, right? So I want you to add, I have subcategories. All I want is just my category and category type, right? And um, I don't need it to use my original column name as prefix, right? No, I don't need category this. No need for that. Right? I just want that alone. I click on OK. That I can set it brought in my category and my category type, right? So now I have my budget, my actual, and everything inside one table, right? Then next I do now, this is my data. I come here and close and load, right? And also just load only the connection as well, right? For now, right? Load only connection as well. So now I have four connections, right? But the connection that supersedes everything is data connection. And what this is nice is that once I update anything here, I will have built once, right? Everything updates by itself, right? So now I can build my pivots, my dashboard using pivot table, chart, and stuff, right? All on this, right? And every time I come and I update my transactions here, they all automatically updates. I hope this is clear, right? So I will just quickly run through how we can build certain reports, just something very high level, something nice, right? And I take it from there. Now, how do we start doing our pivot table? So I just click on the data, right? And I click on load to, right? And this option load to, I mean connections now. I will load it as a pivot chart, right? And the pivot chart inside this or inside our analysis tab, right? Inside our analysis tab, right? So I'll put my pivot chart inside my analysis tab, right? Not my report. My report only has my charts itself, right? So bring this, and let's say the first one I want to see is the category type, the our budget and actual of category type. So budget and actual, right, of category type, right. Um, Category type we have blank, so we can remove the blanks, right? So just want to see the income and expense, right? So this shows us our income and our expense category type, right? So yeah, there are obviously some I mean, what and now what I want to see is only for expense. I don't see income, right? So I can come my category, if I'm not mistaken, right? And my category will be my filter, right? And I want to filter only for, sorry, not category. Uh, so, so my so I want to see it by subcategories actually, right? So my subcategory comes to my role, right? And I want to filter only for only expenses, right? So I want to see only expenses, right? Because now it's giving me the net value, right? So now this is my chart, right? And to be honest, it's just for me to play around with it, right? So the first thing I can do, right, in my chart, it's by I can just copy, I mean, cut my chart and bring it here, right? And come and do certain shift with it, right? So because it's it's negative, so negative stuff up, but I like to just reverse this order. So if I click on this, right, click on the axis, right, so right click on this and click on format axis, right. So it's this is up to you now. All this just I can just do show me in reverse order. So zero comes up. My chart, I mean my axis as well, my tick marks, I can label, sorry, I can bring them low, right? Or high, sorry, high. So they are underneath, right? Um, another thing is that all these markers that I have, right, which these pivot markers, right, I can also remove them, right? So I want to I give my chart a title as well, right? So this is expense category, expense trend, right? Expense trend by T go, right? That's my chart title. Um, Next one, I want to remove these pivot table markers, right? So I just right click. So I just right click on the end of this fill button and hide all fill buttons, right? So this is hidden, right? Make my chart this move to the left here. And maybe let me change the chart type now. Now this part of the report is 100% up to you, right? How you want to do it, how you want to see it, like is 100% totally up to you, right? So maybe I come and change my chart type, maybe make it a bar chart, right? So B will be in this area, right? Um, my chart title, more options. Um, So next time is maybe this the bars, right? For the so basically what I want to see is that I want to see, so let's say I have my total budget, right, as 100, right? And at the moment, I am at 40, right? So I want to see like, oh, total budget is 100 and I'm at 40 and I have 60 remaining, right? So that's what I want to do, right? So what I would do is, I mean, I can hold on to this, right? And increase this, I mean, of the budget itself now, right? I selected the budget, right? And I'll just increase series overlap to 100, right? So it overlaps with it, right? So you can see that we have the actual inside the budget. I don't know if you see, right? So the budget is this and the actual is in between, right? And that I can do is to also increase um the width of it generally, right? Just so it's more, it's so decrease the width, sorry, right? The gap width, I think the gap width is okay, right? I mean, the rest are just honestly formatting things here and there, right? And if you bear with me, we can go over it together, right? And that's what I'm doing. That maybe I want to format it properly. So maybe the highest will be first, then the next will be next, right? So it shows very well, right? So I come here, I can change the number format as well, right? So it's formatted properly, right? Uh, and I can come and sort it, right? So sort. Let's say I sort it from ascending to descending. I sort the budget, right? Budget, sending, right? And that's all obviously feed into it. So let me do descending to ascending. So come here, more sort option, descending to ascending. Okay, right. So yeah, it looks better now, right? So this is what I've spent, and that is, yeah. So my actual is here and my budget is here. So it shows that, oh, I still have this left, this left, this left, right, and everything was not right. So I can bring my chart title um and move his position, right? The position of my chart title. Uh, I want it horizontally and I want it on top, centered. Right, so I just move it to the top of my this, bring my chart a bit down, my call it expense by category, right? Right, and that's what I have here, right? Now everything else is left to you, right? How exactly you want to see it, right? So let's say we I just want to see the same thing, but now I'll say for income, right? So what I do here is, I mean, I can honestly format this a bit more better, right? And see how to make it so that I have brackets when I have um brackets when I have negative value. So I come here and my negative value, I want my negative value to be in brackets, right? In brackets. Right. So I formatted it so my negative value will be in brackets. I will now have yeah, so this is how it will be, right? So I click on this, right? And yeah, so I formatted it properly and it will also affect here. So what I'll do as well is that I want to just copy this pivot table, right? And do the same thing, but this time I want to see for income alone, right? As opposed to for expense, right? So now this is income alone, right? And I can just replicate the same charts or similar charts, depending on honestly, depending on what you want, right? I'll just do three charts just to show us the possibilities. But obviously, it can go as far as you want or as deep as you want, right? So I can do my I can do my chart like this, right? So my budgets. I mean, sorry, I can just put my budget on my actual here, copy it, paste it here, right? And let's say I'm sticking with the format of my budget design, right? So change colors, Honestly, it's honestly up to you, right? You can change color to anyone you want, right? So change my budget to this, right? Yeah, I can also change my actuals to reflect the same the same design pattern that I'm using, right? So come here, I think it was this, right? Yeah, I think maybe I'll like a bit of a construct, right? So I said now this design, right? So design is honestly up to the person that designing it, right? So there's no right or wrong way, to be honest, right? It's all it's all the perspective of whoever is designing, right? So let's say I still keep my actors like that, right? Same thing for here, my actors the same color, right? So I put my budget, I let my budgets overlap, right? My actors, right? Let's say for my budget, for the fill, I give my budget a no fill for my budget, and make it put an outline there instead, right? A blue outline, yeah, it is, right? And make it thicker, right? So maybe make it 1.25 or so, right? So it shows that okay, this is what I budgeted for, this is where I am now. So it's almost like a funnel, right? I can click on this, right, and hide the field, right, and give my chart a title, right, and maybe have a chart title. So this will add a chart title as well for year, right? Yeah, and honestly, it's this income per category, and this is expense per category, right? So I've done two simple charts, right? Income per category, rest per category. So just, I mean, to be honest, the rest are all formatting things. So let's assume we have just these two graphs, right? Just for simplicity's sake, right? And now we want to also, I mean, because now this showing us for the full year, right? So let's say we want to see it on a monthly basis or just for a particular day or a particular things, right? So we can insert a insert a timeline, right? So we go here, come to start timeline. Okay, oh sorry. There's no field as date, right? So I mean that means in our connections, something is not showing as date. So let me just go and check that. Queries connection. Go here, let's open it up, right? And just check our dates are reflecting as actual dates. Right. So this, yeah, that reflects as dates, right? So close and close. So let's see if this works now. Yeah, right. It will not just present as dates. So we have our dates, our slicer now. And copy this slicer, bring it to our report tab. Um, Slicer wise. Okay. Okay, let me how did I copy it? Okay, just put the slicer up here instead. Okay. Timeline, sorry. Um, and I mean every other thing is all up to you, right? How you want to format it, how you see it best being formatted, right? So I can have a date here. Let me move this graphs, both of them, bring them a bit down, right? And use this a bit, right? So I have my periods here, my months here. Oh, something is missing. The down, yeah. So I'll come here, reduce the height and the height of it, right? Honestly, just the way to walk around, um, slicer. Now, I want to link my slicer to both of them, right? Both pivot tables, right? So not just one. So once I make an update here, right? December, not in December, right? So where it's January, February, March, it's I'm over. I'm literally actually reaching my budget in February, in March. Right, there's literally no space. Right, April, May, not I only have data for January, February, and March at the moment. Right, yeah, right. So you can see that it just shows where we are, right, and you can and if I say for year to date, I can collect the filter and show me where I am um for a year to date basis, right? So this how you just create, and obviously there are more charts, more tables, more things you can add. You can even add maybe high level here, yeah, the actual figures, right? For example, I can come here, shade it in a part of blue, right? Because since I'm using blue as my um, pattern color, right? Come here, make it a form of this is too harsh. It's too harsh of a blue. Well, I mean, I can always walk around this, right? Then maybe put total income, right? Total income and put a value to it, right? So I can come here. Honestly, just walk around with with what you have, right? So total income, just link this to what we have here, right? Total income, right? Or total inflow, right? So this is this, right? So whenever we make a change, right? So this, right? This auto changes, right? Shows us our total income, right? I can also do something for expense as well, yeah, right? To be honest, like it's up to you how you want to total expense, which is the actual expense here, right? Then I can also, I mean, I can format it properly as well, right? Yeah, I can do budget deficit or surplus, right? Um, def fee or status, right? So equals to if I put it for formula, if this plus this, right, is greater than or equals to zero, right? Give me that means if my income is more than my if my income is more than my expense, right? Give me surplus, right? If not, give me deficit, right? Right. So at the moment I'm in surplus, right? Then I can say if it's surplus, let it be green. If it's deficit, let it be red. Like, to be honest, it's up to you how you do it, right? So expense. So January I'm surplus, February I'm surplus, March I'm surplus. That's fine, right? Then I mean you can want to know the I mean by what amount, right? And that is just this plus this, right? Right. Sorry, this plus this, right? Okay, this is surplus of this your shoes, right? So surplus of this, right? And this will be deficit of that, right? So surplus of, and I can just look at arrow sign something, right? Surplus of this and deficit of this. Now, obviously, there should be way cooler ways to do it, right? But I'm just showing us the possibility, right? So this just helps us track our expenses to date, and and it's very dynamic, right? So all I have to do every month is just come to transactions and update it, right? And as long as my budget is accurate, right? Accurate enough, right? I should be able to compare what I've spent, what I've not spent, and track my expenses, right? In a brilliant way, right? You can also even have your own personal P&L, so profit and loss account. Can have what percentage of my income is coming from dividend or interest or other things than my salary, right? Or yeah, just different things. And I mean, for me, as like I've done, or yeah, I will do, right, is to maybe increase the size of the bars, right? They're a bit chunky, right? But I mean, I will do some more this in offline. I don't want to make this video quite long, but I hope you understand, right? This is how to create a budget, right? Um, I mean, like a personal and financial budget for yourself, right? So just use cases, right? And we used our understanding of data table. We use data validation. We use charts. We use pivot tables, and I also walked around a bit around Power Pivot, like how to use Power Pivot to get connections together, right? So I hope that we're able to build up on this in a proper Power Pivot class, right? But I hope we're able to leverage our understanding of everything I've taught us, right, in order to get this report out. Thank you very much.